Hello, fellow humans. Chris here again. So, today I wanted to talk about a ski resort. Up in Northern California in the Sierra Nevadas, a ski resort formerly called Squaw Valley is changing its name to the Palisades at Tahoe. Squaw Valley is a major ski resort up in the Sierras, was the host of the Olympics in 1960. Skiers from all over the country come to ski there. It's known as a huge spot for skiing for advanced skiers. Anyway, they changed their name, and like I commented on last year in a video about the Washington football team, there has been a strong emotional reaction to this. A local newscaster here that I follow posted a story about it on social media, and normally his local stories get maybe 20 to 50 comments or so. 500 plus comments, very emotionally charged, angry, upset, offended comments from people for them changing the name. And first of all, speaking just for me personally, my opinion when private businesses change their name, I don't care. I really don't care. If a company says Merry Christmas or Happy Holidays, I really don't care. It literally has no impact on my life. And if it really matters to me that much, in my head, I'll just call it whatever I want to call it anyway. Arco Arena is a great example. As the arena that the Kings used to play at. When they changed their name to Power Balance Pavilion or Sleep Train Arena, it was still Arco Arena. So anyway, that's one part of it. The other part of it is uh, it it's interesting to me how much of an emotionally charged reaction people have, and it's ironic in the sense that they are quite literally voicing their being offended. They're offended at the changing of the name because they feel that people are too easily offended in the first place. Um, so, squaw means, well, I'm actually not going to say what it means. It is a misogynistic sexual slur against women. I'll just leave it at that. You can look it up. It's not hard to find, but it's not a it's not a good word. And the Washoe Indian tribe, which is the tribe that is habitat it lives in the area surrounding the Tahoe Basin. Um, they have been fighting to have this name changed for a very long time, decades. They consider it a slur. It's offensive. It's not endearing. People on these comment threads will post things like, "Oh, my one Native American friend that I have thinks this is stupid and that they shouldn't change the name." Obviously, not realizing that there are more Native Americans out there who don't speak for this one person. So there's that. Um, and then the other part of it, so, aside from the irony of the offensiveness of being offended, um, we saw last week with the Robert E. Lee statue being taken down. This conversation happens every time something like this happens, that we are erasing history. We were erasing the memory of the Civil War. We were erasing the history of Native Americans in this country by changing a derogatory slur to a more inclusive name. That's erasing history. My first issue there is, if you get your history from symbols, because that's all it is. Again, George Carlin, I leave symbols to the symbol minded. I would suggest that getting your history from the name of a ski resort or from a statue erected hundreds of years ago, or from, I don't know, a package of butter that has a picture of a native woman on it, changing their name from Land O'Lakes. Like, if that's where you get your history, you might want to crack open a book sometime and do a little bit of reading. I think that would probably be beneficial. It's actually disingenuous and intellectually dishonest, in my opinion, to claim that taking down a statue or changing a name is erasing history when you don't get your history from that anyway. Because if you did, you might not actually have that opinion that that taking it down is changing history anyway. And the final part about this that I just wanted to comment on is there does seem to be an overlap between people that are grossly offended by a private business, by the way, who claim to be pro-capitalist. Businesses don't just randomly change their names. They do it because it's going to improve the bottom line. That's the only reason why they actually do that. The people that claim to be so offended by that because you're erasing history oftentimes are the same people that are against teaching critical race theory. Governor Abbott in Texas, great example, just signed into law a bill that outlaws critical race theory in schools. And literally one of the reasons for that is because they don't want to make white people feel guilty. They don't want to make people feel bad. They don't want to make students feel bad for being white. And that's what this all comes back around to. It's you feel guilty. You have something uncomfortable inside of you that when you see these changes, these cultural shifts in the way we identify things, the statues that we put up, the faces that we put on our dollar bills, the people that we look up to, when that shifts over time, and for some reason that makes you uncomfortable, and I don't know why that is. It seems to me like maybe there's some guilty conscience thing going on there, because it sure doesn't bother me to acknowledge and be a little bit more inclusive in how we look at history and cultural icons. And I would say that having a derogatory slur as a name for a ski resort is probably not the best way to memorialize and remember and honor the Native Americans in this country. There's probably other ways that we could do that. But at the end of the day, people are just interested in what makes them feel warm and fuzzy inside, and they don't want to confront their own historical evils that have existed in this country for hundreds of years. So anyway, and I wanted to just add, the Palisades at Tahoe, that name actually is being scoffed by a lot of people who are looking up the definition of Palisades, and they see that it means fence, basically staked in fence, and which is interesting in itself because they went ahead and took the time to look up that phrase, but didn't seem to look up the phrase for what squaw means, because I would find it very difficult to justify defending the name squaw if you actually looked up what it meant. The rationale with using the term Palisades, from what I understand, from what I read up, is that it is joining the Alpine Ski Valley and the Olympic Ski Valley, which are next to each other, and it's bringing them together into one name. Olympic Ski Valley was what was Squaw Valley, so now the Palisades at Tahoe is encompassing both ski resorts into one, with the fence joining them in the middle, the Palisades. If anything, I kind of read that as a joining together, the Olympic Valley being where some of the best skiers in the world come, where the Olympics were held, and the Alpine Valley being the home of the Washoe tribe, and uniting them under one name. To me, that seems more inclusive than exclusive, and perhaps maybe instead of being so reactionary and emotional, doing a little bit of reading up on history, which seems to be so important to people, might help understand why decisions like this are made, and why entire tribes of Native Americans are so offended by these words. Anyway, I'll let you go with that. Thank you for checking in on me. I will be catching up with you all again very soon. Have a great rest of your day, and remember, don't be afraid to question the consensus.